Alright guys, last video that you have to listen to of me, hopefully. This one I'm just going to talk about some strategies for when you are given a prompt and your documents, the first steps that you can take before you actually start writing your DBQ. So, this is what I call ABOT, A-B-O-T, and actually it's ABOT plus write are the steps. So this is just a strategy for, again, how do you start a DBQ? Because some of you guys get to that point where you're given the documents and you're like, where do I go? So we can see here, ABOT is a strategy for reading, analyzing, and organizing documents. These are the first steps you should take toward writing your DBQ. So you can see ABOT is an acronym. A, annotate. B, brain dump. O, organize. T, thesis. Once you've done all that, you can write. So, clicked on the wrong thing here. Okay, let me go to our next slide. Okay. So annotate and brain dump. These are pretty simple steps. Annotate means you read your prompt carefully, and using your prompt, you separate it into these components. So what is the task? What is the prompt asking you to do? In other words, what are the historical thinking skills? Is it a causation prompt, cause and effect? Is it a comparison prompt, similarities and differences? Or is it a continuity and change prompt? Continuity, again, means how does something stay the same? How is it continuous? Or how does it change? It's only going to be one of those three skills. What is the historical subject? So what part of history is the prompt asking you to analyze? So in other words, is it about Reconstruction? Is it about the Gilded Age? Is it about the beginning of American history? Is it about the New Deal? By the way, the one that you guys are going to have on Thursday is about the New Deal. And the time period. What are the dates that it's asking you for? Because that's really important because you want your essay to cover those exact dates. The brain dump is just as you're reading the documents, and by the way, you want to annotate the documents as well. As you read through them, what is any SFI they can connect? So any vocab or any specific information that you can connect to those documents. And when you're doing that, that's stuff that you're giving yourself that you can then use in your writing. So I'm going to show you a quick example of this. Let me X out of this here. So this is from a prompt early in the year from Try 1 that I don't think we did it this year, but that students have done in the past. It says, evaluate the extent of change in ideas about American independence from 1763 to 1783. So prompts always have those three components. I see that it says change, so that tells me that this is a continuity in change prompt. I can see that my topic is American independence, so it's asking me about that particular time period, the Revolutionary War, why did the colonies separate, and I can see here my time period, 1763 to 1783. So anything in my writing should be subject to those dates. Then I go through and I annotate. What do I notice about these two teapots? And I made myself some notes. I'm highlighting important things that I see in the document, and then I'm making some notes in the side. Maybe I'm already addressing what is the purpose or what is the point of view of any particular document. Or again, with the brain dump, what is this particular related to, right? What is the Virginia House of Burgesses? Or whatever it is. So you're just going through, you're making sure that you've read all the documents in detail. So back to the notes. Let me pull this back up. So then you go to, so A, B, annotate, brain dump, O, T, organize, thesis. So then based on what you've done, you need to then organize your documents. How are the documents similar? How do they relate to each other? Are certain documents addressing certain skills? So in this case, were some of those documents continuity documents, and were some of those documents change documents? Or are some of the documents cause documents and some effect documents? That can help so that when you're writing, you can actually purposefully place them in your essay where they need to go. And then lastly, after you've read the prompt, figured out what it's asking, you've read the documents, don't write your thesis until you have read those documents and kind of know what you're going to talk about. And then your thesis, remember, needs to be historically defensible. It needs to respond to the prompt, meaning it needs to include both historical thinking skills, and it cannot just restate the prompt. So, guys, this is an overview of what the essay should look like. Again, it should really be a 3-paragraph essay. It could have a 4th paragraph, but that is optional. The first paragraph is going to be your introduction. You're just giving a very generalized overview of what you're talking about. Again, we know on Thursday that our DBQ is going to be on this Great Depression and New Deal. So if I'm writing an essay, I'm going to spend 2 or 3 sentences talking about what is the Great Depression? What is the New Deal? Very general, and then I'm going to end with my thesis statement that is going to have my actual argument, and it's going to tell me what, it's going to tell the reader what I'm going to talk about in my second and third paragraph. Paragraph 2, you should address your first historical thinking skill. So again, if it's a continuity and change essay or continuity and change prompt, I'm going to have my first paragraph being the continuity paragraph, and then I'll address ideally 2 quote sandwiches in that paragraph from the documents. So I'm using at least 2 documents to talk about continuity. Again, hopefully documents that are very clear that connect to continuity. And then my next paragraph, I'll address the second thinking skill, change. I'm going to hopefully find 2 quote sandwiches or 2 documents that relate to change, and I'm going to write those. If I have extra time, I'll do a 4th paragraph where I just reiterate my argument and I restate my thesis. So, as a quick example of this, guys, here is a prompt. This is what you're going to do for your exit ticket. Evaluate the relative importance of different causes for the expanding role of the United States and the world in the period from 1865 to 1910. So, here's my exemplar of what you guys need to do for your exit ticket. What is the prompt asking you to do? Well, it's asking me for the skill. It says causes here. So it's a cause and effect essay. So I'll need to address both of those in my essay. It says the expanding role of the United States in the world. So this historical subject is the expanding role of the U.S. In other words, I know this just because the dates help me. It's about imperialism is what this question is asking. How did the U.S. expand into those islands, Panama Canal, Cuba, Spanish-American War, all of that stuff would be included. And then what is the time period? Usually the time period is the last thing that's listed. You can see here very clearly 1865 to 1910. So for your exit ticket, you guys will do the same thing for 2 other prompts. All right, guys, thanks for listening, and I will see you tomorrow.